When 3 Israeli hostages were released by Hamas this weekend, the world was shocked at their physical condition upon release. Their testimonies have revealed some dark truths about what the hostages went through in their captivity in the Gaza Strip. Also, a major shift is happening in regards to security here in Judea Samaria. I'm Josiah Hilton, and this is the Israel Guys. 3 Israeli hostages were released on Saturday as part of the ongoing ceasefire hostage deal between Israel and Hamas. The 3 men were released were Or Levi, Eli Sharabi, and Ohad Ben Ami. Or Levi, 34, who was kidnapped from the Nova Festival on October 7th, where his wife, Einav, was murdered, has reunited with his 3-year-old son, who has been kept by his grandparents for the 491 days that Or had been captive in the Gaza Strip. Eli Sharabi, 52 years old, was kidnapped from Kibbutz Be'eri, where he lived with his wife, Lian, and their daughters, Noya, 16 years old, and Yachel, 13 years old. On October 7th, after kidnapping Eli, Hamas broke into his house, locked his wife and daughters in their safe room, and set fire to the house. Sadly, none of them survived. Ohad Ben Ami, who's 56 years old, was also kidnapped from Be'eri on October 7th, along with his wife, Raz, and was taken by Hamas into Gaza. Now, Raz was released in the first hostage deal on November 29th of 2023. Ohad has dual Israel and German citizenship. When the first videos of the hostages being transferred by Hamas to Israel were released, the nation was shocked as the condition of the hostages became apparent. After 16 months in captivity, the hostages emerged looking starved and very unsteady on their feet. Now, the before and after pictures of these hostages are shocking, to say the least. As someone who didn't know these men personally, I would not have been able to recognize them from their before and after pictures. Their initial testimony reveals that they all endured physical and psychological abuse during their captivity. After assessing the condition of the hostages after their release, health officials in Israel say that they are suffering from severe physical and mental deterioration, including malnutrition, decreased muscle mass, heart disorders, and prolonged infection. According to Channel 12 News, the former captives were also often only given a quarter of a pita per day to eat, and there were periods when they were only allowed to relieve themselves twice a day and at specific times. The television outlet reported that Levi, 34, was held with other hostages for the entirety of his captivity in Gaza, mainly in the terror group's tunnels underground. He showered only every few months and was barefoot for the complete 491 days, wearing shoes for the first time on Saturday morning when he was being released. Or Levi found out upon his return to Israel that his wife had been killed at the Nova Festival after he was kidnapped. During his captivity, Levi lost 45 pounds during the 16 months. Ohad Ben Ami's sister-in-law, Ayelet Hakim, said that she did not even recognize Ohad when she first saw images of him. She said, quote, "It was terrible. I knew what all 3 of them looked like in theory, if you can call it that, and I didn't really recognize Ohad. But I knew it was him because of his character, not because I recognized him. It was a real shock to see him get out of that car in Gaza like that. Everyone around me shouted, 'It's Ohad, it's Ohad.' And I tried to understand if I was really seeing Ohad in front of me. It was hard to see him so thin and pale. Really, you can see that he is someone who hasn't been fed. He hasn't eaten properly for a whole year and 4 months." Or Levi and Ohad Ben Ami, who were released from captivity, have disclosed harsh testimonies about the torture they suffered during their captivity by Hamas terrorists in Gaza. Now, we're not going to get into the details of the physical torture that these hostages had to endure in the Gaza Strip here on the show because, frankly, it is too horrific. If you are someone who thinks that the hostages taken captive in Gaza were treated well by Hamas in the Gaza Strip, I encourage you to go and read the details in the source links in the description below of the torture they actually endured. I will say that the hostages revealed that at one point during their subhuman hunger and thirst, due to subhuman hunger and thirst, one of the hostages collapsed. The other hostages who were with him thought he was dead, describing this moment as particularly traumatic. Another hostage released in the last few weeks has revealed more about the physical abuse they suffered in Hamas's hands. The family of that hostage requested that the hostage remain anonymous, but the hostage is quoted as saying that for more than 15 months, the terrorists kept them in chains inside a tunnel. The tunnel was dark and airless. They could not walk or stand, and only close to their release, the terrorists finally removed the chains and they learned to walk again. Now, I've been disgusted by the post on social media with people claiming that the Israeli hostages were treated well and even enjoyed their captivity in the Gaza Strip. While it seems that obviously many hostages had different experiences as to the harshness of their captivity, it is very clear that Hamas subjected them to all sorts of abuses, whether physical or psychological. Many Christians feel alone in their support for Israel, especially in a world that tries to delegitimize the Jewish people's right to exist. But you don't have to stand alone. We could not be more excited to announce the second annual Israel Summit, a 3-day event in Dallas, Texas, to bring together thousands of like-minded pro-Israel advocates just like yourself. June 9th through 11th, 2025, join us at the Israel Summit in Dallas, Texas, where you'll connect with passionate, like-minded individuals from around the globe. Hear from world-class Israeli speakers, including former U.S. Ambassador to Israel, David Friedman, Rabbis Jeremy Gimpel, Ari Abramowitz, and Yishai Fleischer, and so many more. Gain access to resources that will empower you to stand firm in your support of Israel. Be empowered with cutting-edge educational resources and tools to help you better advocate for Israel and the Jewish people. Join us in Dallas, Texas, June 9th through 11th, 2025. It's time to make a difference, and it's time to stand with Israel. If you get your tickets early, you'll get an incredible 25% off. Don't wait, though, because these prices will not last. Just click the link in the description below to join us at this year's Israel Summit. A major shift that is happening in Judea and Samaria is the heightened security by the Israeli military. Early Sunday morning, the IDF launched a surprise extensive drill across Judea and Samaria. Codenamed Sudden Lightning, the drill was launched at the direction of the IDF Chief of Staff Herzi Halevi to test the readiness of the forces in the Central Command. The drill included the Judea and Samaria region, the Jordan Valley, the Dead Sea, and the Golan Heights. According to Channel 7 News, the exercise focused on coping with a variety of terror scenarios, including intrusions into towns, attacks on roads, terror events in the context of demonstrations, and attacks in multiple sectors simultaneously. Its purpose was to test the readiness of the forces in accordance with the lessons of the war and the current situation assessment. The exercise included extensive use of aircraft, significant security traffic on the ground, and was accompanied by explosions and gunfire. A notice, thankfully, was sent out to the civilians in the area to avoid alarming the public. And I will say, nearly all day yesterday, Israeli fighter jets and helicopters were flying overhead here in central Samaria. With the recent launch of the Operation Iron Wall, the IDF has been systematically dismantling terror infrastructure in Palestinian towns in Judea and Samaria. The Israel Defense Minister, Israel Katz, commented on the operation, saying, "We will not allow the Iranian axis of evil to set up an eastern front which will threaten the towns of Samaria in the seam line and the largest population centers in Israel." The IDF is not only preparing for any scenario in Judea and Samaria, including an October 7th-like situation where Hamas and PA's terrorists conduct a simultaneous attack on the 500,000 residents of Judea and Samaria, but the last few weeks have shown that the IDF is not waiting for the Palestinian terrorists to attack, but they are actually going into terror hotbeds in these Palestinian towns and rooting out terrorists and weapons and infrastructure. This is an incredibly smart move by the defense establishment, and frankly, one that should have taken place long ago. Guys, please continue to pray for the nation of Israel, pray for their safety, pray for direction and wise guidance for the leaders of Israel. Also, show your support for Israel by coming to the Israel Summit in Dallas, Texas this June. Remember, register today and get 25% off your registration. Subscribe and get the conversation going down in the comments below. As always, stop listening to the lies and propaganda and connect with the truth of what is happening in Israel. We'll be back soon here at the Israel Guys.